giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Good morning, good people. Welcome to AZ Sports Live. We are streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still, boom! You know, it's never a dull moment in Dallas. Never. And at the end of the season, they decide to make another headlining move. We'll talk about that, as well as get into Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer opened up about this season, and he said something that I think could possibly hurt the next guy, maybe, if there is a next guy. We briefly talked about this a while ago, but stick around. We're going to detail it and take a listen to Mike. And also, I've got a major announcement that I'll likely be refreshing throughout this show and over the next week or so. And I kind of want to start there. But before I do that, man, good morning, Bomb Squad. How we doing?
Bomb Squad!
Happy New Year's, or Happy New Year to everyone out there. Hope you guys had a safe and fun New Year, safe and fun holiday. I know some people's holidays are ending right now. We heard all the fireworks out here where I live, and sometimes, you know, where I come from, sometimes, hey, was that a firework or was that something else? But it was safe, it was sound, it was fine out here in my way. But again, I hope you guys had a good New Year, brought it in right and brought it in safe. The saying, and we hear this often, is New Year, new me. I prefer New Year, better me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to start out today's show with a major announcement right here. After 4 seasons, this will be my final season with A to Z Sports. Don't fret. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. But I do want to thank them for this incredible opportunity to work together. However, I'm extremely excited about a lot of the things that are in the works behind the scenes, and I can't wait to share that with you. I got to wait until these I's are dotted and T's are crossed and all that stuff. But when I first joined up with A to Z, it was always, to me personally, a stepping stone to continue to grow the brand and then eventually level up. And I feel like that's what has happened, right? I feel like because of you guys, I was able to level up. You've always kept me on my P's and Q's and my toes to make sure I've gotten better over these last 4 seasons. Now, in the meantime, in between time, I will still give y'all the coverage. We're still going to be here giving you the live streams, videos, storytelling, and things like that. But we're going to do it on the brand new Skywalker Steel Unleashed channel. So do me a favor, y'all. I'm asking for a favor. Let me grab this link right now. Let me grab this link. We're going to put this link in the description. Right there. And I'll spam this link right here. Then I'm gonna pin it. All right, ain't that what you do? I'm a boomer. Let me pin this thing. Bow. Head on over to the new channel, Skywalker Steel Unleashed, where we will be building this thing up. Okay. Still going to be doing morning shows and shows in general. Might even be doing some shows in the evening or the day. I'll be doing more. I'll be unleashed to do a little bit more here, right? We'll be doing videos for those who were here at the beginning of this thing prior to A to Z. I love doing storytelling type of videos. We'll be bringing that back, and we'll just continue to grow. So again, nothing will change from how I will be providing Cowboys content here on YouTube. Now, there's some other things, like I said, in the works that will be changing, but those things will be announced once I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and details are figured out. So I'll let you guys know about that. I'll keep you guys updated. But I want to say thank you to A to Z, but I really, really, really want to say thank you to y'all. Y'all have helped, in my opinion, make this the best Cowboys morning show in the land, and I want to keep that momentum going. So once again, head on over. Let's spam it to the new channel, and I'll be doing this throughout the day. I'll be doing this throughout the week, and let's build this thing back up. A couple programming notes though. We will be dual streaming, right? I'll be streaming on the new channel and here for about a week or two, probably about 2 weeks, so we can get you guys kind of navigating over to the new channel. Okay, so if you see me on both starting next week, that's because we're just trying to make sure those who may have missed the announcement, and I'll be announcing it every time, get those guys and gals over to the new channel. So head on over there and we'll get that thing up and rolling. All right, so wanted to get that out. I'll continue to kind of remind you guys about that as we get going. And for those who jump up in here later, right, usually the channel builds as we go, make sure you remind them to head on over. So that is the update, the major announcement on what's happening with your boy moving forward. Skywalker Still Unleashed channel. We're getting that going. And then again, I'll let you guys know about the other things that are in the works when those I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So appreciate y'all, man. Happen to look over. Will it be on the same time? 8:45-ish, Sky. I want to continue that. Yeah, I want to continue the morning wave. I feel like this is the space for me, man. This is I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed doing the morning flow. I feel like I said to you guys before, man, it is I feel like I have an obligation to start off your Cowboy day the right way, with energy, with fun. Sometimes we gonna tussle, right? And really with a different vibe than you usually see elsewhere. That's always been my thing since I first stepped into this scene. Was I understand? Well, now there's a lot of Cowboys coverage, but I wanted to make sure that I was able to separate myself, and I'm continuing to strive for that. I never feel like I'm complete. You know, I still feel like the same dude that came in this thing 2020 trying to make a name for himself. I still feel that way. So we're going to continue to move and operate in that way, man. Am I going to have Zeke on the show? No, I'm not going to have Zeke on the show, but I want to have somebody else. We got some things in the works, man. I'm excited for this new journey, though, and I want you guys to come with me, all right? Good point, though. T-Shift, can we still cuss? Probably even more over there. Probably even more. You brought up Zeke. Let's get into that, Cowboys Nation, because somehow, some way, that set Cowboys Nation on fire. Let's do it.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you. I'm laughing because Professor L says Sky is funding the new channel with the $10K that Zeke's dad was supposed to give. 10K. Okay, look. The Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott have parted ways. Here is the public relations post from the Dallas Cowboys that came from Jerry Jones. Quote, out of respect and appreciation for Zeke and wanting to provide him with an opportunity to pursue any potential playoff participation possible, we are releasing him from the Cowboys roster today. And as I've said many times previously, Zeke's impact as one of the greatest to ever play with the star on their helmet will never change and is etched in our record books in history forever. Forever. We thank him, love him, and wish him the best. For what it's worth, Ezekiel Elliott did go unclaimed on the waivers, and he's free to sign anywhere. So if he wants to sign with the playoff contender, he will. If they also want Ezekiel Elliott, which this is something that he's really wanted for a good bit, dating all the way back to about the middle part of the season, beginning of the season. Now, for me, I don't think this was a really big deal. It doesn't even shock me, to be honest. You know, we've seen this before. I think it was last year. Dalvin Cook was the same way. He got released towards the end of the season to go get picked up by a playoff contender. But because it's the Cowboys and they like headlines, I think it's made it a big deal, right? But it's not like he was a critical piece this season. So it doesn't really move me one way or the other. But I get it. Cowboys, headlines, Zeke, big name, controversial player, all that good stuff. I'm not here to really feed into one side or the other. Because like I said, he really didn't do much this year for you to really get all up in arms. Now, in reality, he probably never should have been brought back. And that's a different conversation. That's like, you can have a whole show on that. But once he was brought back, I thought it was a responsibility of the coaches to figure something out. We talked about that before, right? If he's going to have a role, have a role. But then it became very clear to me that Mike McCarthy just didn't really want him back. And that Zeke was, in essence, forced on Mike McCarthy, which created a very awkward situation that I don't think is either of their faults, but the fault of an owner who played some politics and some favorites, right? Now listen, politics ain't just about the usage of the backfield. I think the politics started all the way back in April. That's where the politicking started. And if you want to believe Jerry's lies, you're more than welcome to. When he comes out and says, oh, you know what? Zeke's potential return has nothing to do with us not addressing running back. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. He all but said they were going to sign him during the draft. And they did. They signed him a couple days after the draft. But it was already worked out before the draft ended. It was Jerry who said he believes Zeke could be good enough to be a starter in 24. It was Jerry who likely sold Zeke on that to return. But it was the coaches who said, not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. So you mean to tell me one of Jerry's favorites, who just the previous season or two before said he's the straw that stirs the drink, who believed that he's a starter, had nothing to do with them ignoring a glaring need in the draft? I'm not buying it, man. I'm not buying it. And Zeke, frustrated. Was told he was coming back here to be the guy. Wasn't the guy. It was told right after that, oh, wait, this is going to be a committee. I bet. Committee. Where do I fit? Apparently nowhere. So I'm not mad at Ezekiel Elliott. Don't be mad at Ezekiel. Don't even be mad at Mike. Be mad at the snake oil salesman that continues to make these type of moves and tries to sell it to you. That's who you should be mad at. I think the tipping point came in week 9 when he was suspended for those disciplinary reasons, right? He had some off-field things, some issues going on there. And then, the lack of production on the field didn't help either. So it's just a lot of, I think this was festering. I know this was festering and boiling for both sides. And you heard the frustration both from Zeke and Mike. But you had Jerry, who was just like, we're just going to continue this. Let me bring you back here for a second, if you don't mind. We'll come back. We're going to talk about Zim in a second. When that happened in week 9, I think we talked about it on this show. That was the perfect opportunity say, you know what? I messed up. Man. This isn't working out. Zeke, let you go and try to get your legs, with another, organization. And Mike, I'm going to relieve you from the pressure of having to play him because you don't even want him. And it wasn't like he was playing him a whole lot, but that again, when you got the boss in your ear, right? And of course he did. We detail Mike's pressers when he continued to come out. Man, I'd love to get Rico Dowdle involved, man. I love to get him more carries. Never, hey, we got to get Ezekiel Elliott some more touches. Always, no, man. Can't tell you why we ain't get. Coach, you calling the plays, coach. I know Jeff Blasco ain't got that much juice to tell you what to do from a running back operation. Skip Pete might have, because Skip Pete was here before multiple times. Skip Pete got the resume. Skip could tell you, yeah, this is what we're doing with Zeke and this is what we're doing with TP. Jeff Blasco ain't telling Mike McCarthy nothing. Nothing. The word came from top. This is our guy. We want him to be involved. Mike, obviously, during the offseason said, we're going to do this committee thing. Committee thing ain't never work here in Dallas because the top does not want a committee thing. Mike's done it before, right? Now he's had a lead guy in the committee. This is not new. But something that was more aligned with what the Cowboys had done over the years was a duo approach, right? They couldn't even get that right. They had the opportunity to approach it that way with ease by drafting one of the many backs. But they decided to play politics. Again, politics started back in April. Let's all put our praying hands together and pray that they don't make the same mistake, not necessarily with the Zeke, but just in general with this backfield, with this ridiculous running back class. Oh, please. There have been the last two running back classes have been pretty decent. This year's running back class is loaded. Loaded Lux. No way they should come out of this draft without at least maybe two running backs. No way. No way. And I'll digress on that. Once again, we still got some people coming up in here. For those who may have missed the announcement, make sure you head on over and sub to the new channel. We'll be dual streaming on the new channel starting Monday for about probably a couple weeks. And then we'll be solely over there with the same, no, not same, better, even more content, even better content. So make sure you head up on over there. Now let's get back to the roundup as we kind of transition into the show here with Mike Zimmer, who had his final press conference of the 2024 season. Well, Mike said, is this the final press? Mike said, hey, man, let me ask you a question. Is this it? Because I'm about to drop a bomb on your ass.
Bomb Squad!
Before we get to that, though, Mike did get emotional. They asked him about, reflecting on the season and why he came back. And he said he needed it. He needed football because of his son. And, got emotional about the situation. And who wouldn't? I'm glad they were able to kind of pivot because you could tell he was about to, break down a little bit up there. And if you don't know the story about Mike Zimmer, he lost his son a few years ago, unexpectedly. So they pivot and they ask him about the challenges of the season. And that's kind of where I want to pick this up. Because I think Mike ended up describing what I believe is an issue here in Dallas on that side of the ball, a concern and potentially a concern moving forward. Yeah. So let's break this down a little bit. We're not going through the whole entire 18 minutes of Mike Zimmer's presser, but about 2 minutes from two separate parts of the press conference where they asked him, hey, the first part was, what would you have done differently, or do you have regrets about X, Y, Z? But the first part is about what he would have done differently. Let's take a listen, Cowboys Nation. We're going to break this down a little bit.
This is last press conference, right?
First of all, Mike said, let me make sure this is it. Because I'm about to say some things. I'm going to try to put this together as good as possible, as nice as possible without getting anybody in trouble or whatever. But Mike was ready to kind of, I got to let this off my chest. It's been on my chest for a while, and I got to let this thing, let it hang a little bit.
I don't have to do one next year?
You're good.
All right.
So next year?
He's not for the jokes right now. For next year, he.
So I think, so I wish, I'm trying to say this correct way. I wish that when I came in that I would have done everything the way I wanted it done and not kind of try to blend things.
Stop. Right there. Let's pick that up right there. To Mike's credit, right? He thought he was doing the right thing, to be fair to Mike McCarthy. But this is something that, if you really dive into the defensive side of the ball, could be an issue moving forward, right? People forget. We talked about this in the offseason a little bit. Actually, a couple years ago, before I was here, when Dan Quinn was brought in. People forget. This is the 7th defensive coordinator the Cowboys have had since 2011. 7th. Well, Scott, how does that, compare to the rest of the league? So I wanted to go look, because I know that was a question a lot of people were going to be asking here. I looked at about 5 of the best defenses over the last decade, right? 5 that have been consistent to damn near dominant for about a decade. Looked at the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Steelers, the 49ers, right? And the Bills. I think we all can agree these defenses have been known to be pretty solid to good, consistent defenses. Maybe not every single year, but when you look at that team, you think, defense a little better. Now, Chiefs a bit different because Pat Mahomes, but we can't forget the Chiefs defenses in their Super Bowl runs and said Super Bowls. In the same time frame, the Chiefs have had 3 defensive coordinators. The Ravens have had 5. The Steelers have had 3. Now, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, I mentioned this to you guys before and on other people's shows. They operate in a way that their philosophy is aligned from top to bottom, from general manager to head coach. They get and do what those guys want. So when it comes to the scheme or personnel, they're going to get their guys. And it's been that way for about a decade or even more, really, with Pittsburgh. So when they swap out defensive coordinators, it's not like they're running a wildly different defense. They bring in or they elevate a defensive coordinator and they'll run that style of defense, or the philosophy isn't changing that much. The personnel isn't changing that much. And that's an organizational alignment. That's, hey, general manager, head coach on the same page. This is what we're doing. No matter who's switching DCs. And usually, if the general manager fires the head coach or gets a new head coach, or the GM is doing what the GM wants to do, but different story. Then you look at the 49ers. They've had 4 defensive coordinators since Shanahan took over in 2017. 2 of them were plucked to be head coaches. So it's not like it's because they're just rotating a revolving door of mediocrity at defense. No, they had 2 defensive coordinators that were so damn good they got head coaching jobs. And when Salah got taken, they elevated one of their guys. And very similar to Baltimore, Pittsburgh, they're running what Shanahan wants to run. They're running Shanahan and John Lynch are they're lock in step. This is what we're doing. So when they're swapping out DCs, it's not wildly different. And if there is an issue with the DC and the head coach once, see ya, Steve Wilkes. Then you got the Bills. The Bills under Sean McDermott for 8 years. They've had 2 defensive coordinators. Leslie Frazier. Then when Leslie quasi-retired, McDermott took over play calling. By the way, they're running his defense. And then this season, they handed it over to Bobby Babich, who's been with McDermott since 2017 when he took over Buffalo. So again, they're not running a wildly different defense. So if you're following along here, you should kind of put the pieces together. When you are doing this constantly, and look, changes at DC, changes at coaches, that happens. But the problem is you don't have a philosophy that aligns from top to bottom. So what happens, you get Rob Ryan, who's a crazy man, 3-4 defense, and then the next defense coordinator, an 80-something-year-old Monty Kiffin. We called him Sleepy Monty because he was literally falling asleep in meetings. Right? 3-4 guy, 4-3 guy. Then the very next year, they go to Rob Marinelli, who, comes from the school of Monty Kiffin, so it wasn't much of a difference. And Rob was a DC for quite some time. Then 2018, they bring in Chris Richard. And Chris Richard had completely different views than Rob Marinelli defensively. And they butted heads. Then boom, Jason Garrett goes and they bring in, okay, we go from 3-4 to 4-3, back to a 3-4. And Mike Nolan, and that was a disaster. 1 year out the door, back to a 4-3 hybrid multi-defense type with Dan Quinn, and there was success there. There was some failures and falters. He wasn't perfect, but there was some success. Boom. Dan's out the door with his quasi-multi defense, and we bring in Mike Zimmer, who is a traditional 4-3 guy who just told you struggle. I struggled with doing what I wanted to do because I was trying to mesh what they were doing previously. And why is that an issue? Well, it's an issue because when you do this flip, flop, snip, snap type of thing, different philosophies, different voices and all this, coaches aren't going to view players the same way. And then when you make them keep some of these assistant coaches, right? No knock to Al Harris. You're keeping a Scott McCurley. These guys don't come from the Mike Zimmer tree. They don't do the same things. And you can tell schematically there was a struggle with what Zimmer wanted to do in the back end and with what Al Harris had been teaching these guys to do. And now Zim is starting to talk about that. Hey man, I tried to mesh it together. I tried to be the good guy. This is what they did. It was successful, but this ain't really what I want to do. And why is that snapping always an issue? Let's look at it for some of these players. Tyron Crawford, Byron Jones, Chauncey Golston, Mozzie Smith. What happens? All right, Crawford, your defense end. No, your defensive tackle. No, your defense end. All right, Chauncey, your defense end. No, your defense tackle. No, your defensive end. All right, Mozzie, we drafted you to be run guy, but my defense really isn't about run defense. We want to get upfield, so we got to shed a couple pounds. Get upfield. All right. Well, Byron, we drafted you to be a safety, but we Chris Richard really thinks you can be a good corner, so we're going to put you at corner. Then these players stick around. The coaches leave. The players are here. Now you get a new coach. We don't want you to. You never have real continuity. Ever. And I really think it affects not only the players, but it affects your draft and develop. It affects what you're going to do for agency. It affects all that stuff. Because the Cowboys don't have a philosophy that aligns from top down, from GM to head coach to defensive coordinator, whatever, it's just this this mosh posh of defenses and voices. If Mike Zimmer doesn't return next year, It's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to bring in DCs. I'm not saying don't bring in a new defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator or offenses, etc. But I feel like you need to have a philosophy. I feel like you do. And you know, I know there's been instances where there's been success other ways, but I just wanted to look at some of the more respected, consistent defenses over the last decade plus that I think we all would agree on. And they have one thing in common. They are aligned from top to bottom. Even when they switch out these defensive coordinators, although they haven't done it as much as the Cowboys. What they want to do, how they want to do it, who they draft, who they sign, all fits under that philosophy. There is no such thing as a philosophy when you go 3-4, 4-3, 3-4, hybrid, 4-3, and it's completely different in players and personnel. I brought this up when they hired Dan. I brought it up when they hired Zim, and I'll continue to bring it up until they understand, yes, defensively, we've had success under Rod, under Chris, under Dan. There's been some success with Zim, but it's Band-Aid success. Until they get a philosophy on that side of the ball, we'll be like, oh, man, look, Tyron Crawford, man, switching. Man, Chauncey Golston could have. Mozzie Smith was supposed to. They need to figure this out, and they need to figure it out fast. Now, you could argue on the offensive side of the ball, there's some similarity, but we also looked at that, and they've had their fair share of different offensive coordinators too. Now, you could argue that's a problem too. But I feel like offensively, schematically, let me say this, you can kind of massage the issues from a personnel standpoint if you have a quality offensive coordinator. But still, you still want the guys want their type of guys. Hey, I don't want the 6'2", 220-pound receiver. Maybe I want more of a twitchy guy. Hey, I don't want the small slot. Maybe I want a bigger slot. So there is some of that is involved as well. I don't want to ignore that. But there's been less turnover on that side of the ball compared to the defense side of the ball. So I'm very intrigued to see what they do moving forward, because it doesn't sound like to me Mike Zimmer wants to coach or has it in him to coach. So if he's gone, do they bring in the 3-4 guy? And do we start this process over? Do they force, hey, no, you got to keep, Mozzie, and you got to keep, and what if they don't want him? If they don't want to run this? It's a weird situation. Let's keep listening to Mike Zimmer here. I'll let this thing play out.
And so I think that was part of the struggles at the beginning. And what I'm most proud about is watching the guys, how they've improved. You go out to practice and you see the coverage pieces being in the right place, playing the routes correctly, things like that. And there's still a lot more we could have done better, but I think a lot of it was that. And so we had to work through a whole bunch of different scenarios to get to where I feel like I kind of, like I said, the vision that I had. I don't know what time it was, when it was during the season, but I was just doing things I was uncomfortable with. And
I really respect Zim for being as candid. We talked about this earlier in the season. He's very open and transparent about when he gets out here. There's no fluff. This isn't Dan Quinn. We knew that right away. Dan give you a speech and was very good at talking around the issue for real. Zim is one of those old, I ain't got time to play around. Look, I did things I was not comfortable with. And that played a factor. And when earlier in the year, when I snatched that chain back from Zim, a lot of people were mad. And I said, I'll give Zim a longer leash, but right now I'm snatching that love because I'm seeing you do things and that doesn't feel Zim-like to me. There were some people who took to that, right? Weren't really fans of me calling out Zim, but I've literally studied the whole offseason of what Zim does, and I'm looking the first few weeks, and I'm like, well, this is awkward. And he would come out, hey, man, I messed up this way. I panicked here. I panicked there. And now we know, well, he wasn't really doing the things he wanted to do. He was trying to mesh these things. If he doesn't return and a new coach comes in here, we can't have that. And maybe this is because Zim is a little bit older. Zim is trying to be less of a hard ass, and he has that, that rep that I'm a tough guy. I'm gonna do all this other stuff, which obviously worked. But he didn't want to do all that. He didn't want to yell. He didn't want to scream. He didn't want to be a hard ass. And he talks about that in a second. Maybe he should have been early. Maybe he should have been, because then maybe this defense wouldn't have had the lulls that it had earlier on in the season.
And so I had to, just do what I had to do. But what I would have said, I've said it, to some of the coaches, like, you come in, so here was the situation, okay? They were good last year, right? Yeah. And so I come in, so I don't want to really rock the boat. And, I probably wasn't as tough as I typically am. I probably wasn't as hard-headed about things and how I want to do things, I guess the best way to say it. And so I wasn't. And that's what I regret the most.
No regrets. I don't know, man. I don't know if Zim is going to return. I don't know if, ever since the presser a couple weeks ago, where they asked him, he seemed very detached from the idea. I'm now torn on even if I want to invite that back in. If they do, I think Zim is a fine coach. But he's approaching 70. Not saying that you can't continue to coach past that. Like guys like Spags is around that age. I know Dick LeBeau, Jim Johnson. Like I know these guys have done it, but it doesn't feel like Zim has it in him to do it, right? So the last thing I want is he returns and he's not himself again, or he's all right, this is it, and we're right back in that revolving door. I think they need to obviously figure out what they want to do from top to bottom, and then bring in a guy that they believe can stick around for a bit. Or how about this? Be nice to develop a farm system. Be real nice of coaches. I brought this up because I don't know where I saw it from. Might have been Professor O, might have been Bobby Belt. But if you go look at the article posted some months ago about detailing all the assistant coaches or the up and coming coaches underneath guys, I don't believe the Cowboys had one, and it was like 70 some coaches, one single coach on there. Al Harris might have been on there. But other than that, nothing. Nothing. So when you do this a lot, right? And you're swapping out all these guys, you're not really developing any farm system underneath you to keep that continuity. Which is why this is the guy I would be very, very interested in interviewing. Paul Guenther has ran this defense for a very long time as a defensive coordinator, as a play caller, as a consultant, and he's been connected to the hip with Mike Zimmer. So if Zim decides to hang it up and you want to continue that continuity of what we see it, right? We see that this defense has something to it. Get healthier is going to be even better, right? Not Paul Guenther, that's fine. But they need to figure out a way to keep I think a guy like Paul Guenther, and I joked about this with Dan Quinn, but you knew it was never going to happen, could be a dude that is just being a defensive coordinator for the rest of his career. So you could kind of keep him around. Now, obviously, if he's not good, you move on, et cetera, et cetera. But if he is able to kind of keep this momentum defensively or elevate it, I don't see Paul Guenther being a head coach anymore. I think he was at one point. But I could see him kind of being just a defensive coordinator for the rest of his career type situation, or for quite some time. So selfishly, I'm looking for that guy where I don't have to keep doing this. Besides, you see how they're some of these guys are playing the linebackers, Micah, the DBs. Now, the DBs has a lot to do, I think, with Zim's scheme and Al Harris here, right? Gunther has a lot to do with that. He has a lot to do with that. So that's my little rant on this situation. I'm going to keep my eyes very close to what Zim decides to do and how the Cowboys decide to approach it if he moves over. JL23 said, you know who we dealing with, Sky. Expect Ron Rivera next. Oh, boy. Hey, y'all, do me a favor. For those continuing to hop up in here, if you don't know, let them know, y'all. We are moving and grooving to a new channel over on Skywalker Still Unleashed. I posted the link in here. Still going to give y'all the fire content, daily content. Just going to be elsewhere. So head on over, sub up. We got about 350 up in here. Should be 350 subs over there right now, Cowboys Nation. But no, please, if you do, and if you're rewatching this, I posted the link in the description. I will post a link in the description, so all you got to do is click on it. But for those in the chat, it's right there. So head on over. I think I still have it. Yep, I still have it pinned. So if you miss it going through the chat, head on over. Let's hit these phone lines. Let's talk to our guy, D Schiff, who's the first to call in. What's up with you, D?
Hey, what's going on, man? Am I staticky?
I can hear you fine. I don't
okay,
hear my
fine. That's cool. Now, you're a little staticky on my end, but it's still, I can still hear you, though.
All right, let me see if I can fix that as you go. Boom.
But, I mean, I think Sky, man, like, all right, so the fact that, so Jerry's the GM, which essentially that, like, eliminates any stress, like, that's supposed to be put onto a coach, right?
Right.
And then, in turn, that stress for that coach should be kind of put toward his coordinators. But, I mean, I just feel like the coordinators, they don't really have that urgency at times, or they can lose it, you know what I mean? Or we don't really look at them in certain regards. Like, I think Dan Quinn's probably been like as far as like any offensive or defensive coordinator, I think he's been the one that kind of popped out the most. That's why he kind of got, that coaching job real quick again. But I guess what I'm saying is they don't our coordinators have more like a positional coach kind of feel. And they don't, what I'm saying? They don't feel like a coordinator, bro. Like,
I think Quinn felt like a coordinator.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Quinn.
I feel like
more kind of.
You don't think Zim felt like a coordinator? You know what? You might be on this year. I don't think so. I think you're right. I think this year it felt like he was just trying to mesh it and fit in.
Because, like, when he left, he was like, he was a defensive coordinator for a little while, right? Because I know he came from being a positional coach. And, he went to the Bengals and he went to, Minnesota, and, like, he felt like a coach. It was like, dang, like, we had Zimmer at one point in time, which he didn't kind of have that gravitas about him. But I think just due to the nature of not having that GM, that's kind of why you didn't feel like what you thought you were going to get out of Zimmer. And that's, I think, that Jerry effect and what he does to everybody. And that's what he's going to continue to do. And it's, when you get a guy like these average guys, right, they're going to be crap, like Mike Nolan. But I don't think you see that full potential. It's a big riff about Kellen Moore not running. But, now he has 2,000 yards Saquon. Which is
be careful giving him that credit, because I think that's Nick Sirianni, bro. I remember when we broke them down, and this is side conversation that we having with everybody here, me, you, D Schiff, and the rest of the folks. Remember when we broke them down earlier this season? If you guys remember when I talked about them, they tried to run Kellen's offense, and what was happening? Old boy was a turnover machine, and there was an internal fight where Kellen and Nick, and it was public. Nick even talked about, me and Kellen, we sat down and we figured it out, blah, blah, blah. Where Nick was like, hey, man, we just signed Saquon freaking Barkley. He's healthy. We have this offensive line. Next thing you know, boom. They take off from a rushing standpoint. So I personally think this is more Nick Sirianni trying to continue to do what they do. Think about it. Kellen Moore don't have quarterback runs in his playbook. Kellen Moore don't do RPO. Like they're running RPO, basic stuff to and deep shots to AJ Brown, and they're running our guy Saquon Barkley into the ground. And you sometimes see Kellen Moore's pre-snap motion stuff. But I think this is a lot of Sirianni just as a sidebar conversation. So I don't know if I'd be so quick to give Kellen Moore, the same guy who said, I want to pass the ball every single play with Cooper Rush at quarterback. I'd be careful. That's all.
Yeah, and I think the running game kind of sounds nice or whatever. Like when they talk about it, but truthfully, like I think Kellen developed those habits from somewhere, right? So, and just in the fact of the Eagles have that ability to like take something mid-season and scrap it, like when it's completely not working. I don't know where you like. It took Mike Zimmer and them so long, I mean, we also seen this in the past with offensive, with Mike McCarthy. He's done fixed some things that Kellen messed up at points in time in the season, but the fact that that's also a recurring theme. I don't know. I think that just that general manager position and how that knocks everything else out the loop. I think you're going to continue to get that too, unfortunately. But appreciate you, man. Good call, dog. And shit, man. Happy New Year, bro.
Happy New Year to you as well, man. Hope it was great. And it's up here from 2025. Let's talk to our guy, Toxic Tom, man, with our first toxic take of 2025. What's up, brother?
Hey, good morning, Sky. Happy New Year. And congrats. Make sure everyone hits the subscribe to Skywalker Unleashed. Cannot wait for the debauchery and all the lunacy that's going to go on that new channel. I'm so excited. You had me worried for a second, like 2025 was already going to be terrible. Like, Sky's pulling a Michael Jordan and going to go play baseball. What is he doing?
No, still here. Still, but like I said, there's some other things, in the works behind the scenes. I'll keep you guys up to date though. I'm trying to do this like live sub count, by the way, like this whole live sub count, but it ain't really working like I want. So I'm gonna try to fix that while you on the phone, bro.
Hey, you're doing the 717 proud. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
So, to unpack this Pandora's box that you just opened, which thank you, Zim, for having a set of nuts while working with the Dallas Cowboys. You're addressing a problem that, and I think this is what a lot of people miss, is money doesn't fix a culture issue.
Yeah.
You can throw money at things, a lot of things in life, and it will fix it. And this is something that is beyond money. And if anyone in the chat has ever been in like a real leadership position, in a real situation where you are accountable for other people and their careers, their health, their everything, there's a duty of responsibility that is associated with that. And paying people just, it's not congruent. We're not talking the same thing. So when I look at this, to me, the purpose of a leader is to make sure that you provide your people that you are leading with the ample amount of resources they need to accomplish their tasks and goals, while also putting them in the best position to succeed. Your job is a lonely job, one. So one, you can't be their friend.
Right.
But on top of that, it all falls on you. And you need to do everything you possibly can to ensure that you turned over every stone, because they are depending on you as their leader, that you are doing everything possible to put them in position to succeed. That's not a money thing. There's a deep level of trust that, hey, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I uprooted my family for you. I moved over here. I did all these things, hoping that you, Mr. Jones, are doing the things that you need to make sure I can do my job and succeed. And that hasn't happened. So now you're seeing this, and you see it in bits and pieces. For instance, we go and let me back up. When you do this in an organization, think of people as like children, not as an insult, but children see everything you do.
So explain it to
and
them
they
like
see
they're
the decisions
five.
exactly. and they see the things that you do and don't do, and they see what you preach and what you tolerate. So when you see things as a player, a young rookie that, hey, how come Zeke is able to go into the front room? He's played like shit this entire season. Why is it okay that he can go and tell Jones, not McCarthy, that he should be playing more? First off, you shouldn't be here to begin with, and now you're bitching about not getting playing time when you're terrible. People see that shit. And that's the kind of like little things that when you tolerate it, it erodes the entire integrity of an organization. And if you're willing to do that to your head coach, you'll do it to coordinators, you'll do it to anyone other than your general manager. So now, Professor O, you brought up the Cowboys coaching tree or lack thereof. There's a reason why that's not there, is because the people that can fix it don't want to work here, and the people you do hire are okay with being walked all over and treated like a freaking dog just because they want to get paid. It's not. This is something money can't fix. And the people that say you bring up Dak's contract, Dak at $50 million is going to be in the same shitty situation at $60 million. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant how much he's getting paid.
And much like players, Toxic Tom, when some of these coaches express their frustrations with how things are, they usually aren't here anymore. I remember Chris Richard, you could talk about whether you like him or not, but Chris was not happy with how things were in that defensive coordinator or in that defensive room. Who was the other one? It's escaping my head. Oh, Bill Callahan. Bill Callahan was not pleased with Jerry snatching play calling duties after telling him he was going to be the guy. And then he said, well, can you let me out the contract so I can go somewhere else? And Jerry said no. And, Bill ain't been fooling with Dallas since. So, I think, coaches very much like some of the players, right? When they speak up, they get looked at sideways from the front office and say, okay, I got something for you.
And then you'll hear people say things like, well, why is Dak not speaking up? He's a company man. You're putting your quarterback, who's supposed to be the leader of the players on the field, you're putting him in a terrible situation because you don't want a division between the people on the sidelines and the front office for the players below. Dak is trying to be the shit filter. He is trying to make sure that his players are getting everything they can because he's not trying to create a civil war inside the front office. I don't see Dak not going to team meetings. I don't see Dak doing all the bullshit stuff that Zeke does. Dak's a leader. And that is why
different people.
I don't like players like Zeke because – go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just different. They're different people. Dak literally has a leadership degree. Zeke's more, buddy,
Agreed.
party, It was immature at first, but then I think he did mature. At least I think he did. This year, some things going on. But yeah, I think they're just two totally different people, and why you kind of need to have like a Dak Prescott, to be his guy per se.
And when I hear and see Dak Prescott talk, he just reminds me of people that I served with. The thing, he always takes accountability. He's always looking out for the people below him. And you're asking him, because he makes $60 million, to overcome a neutered coaching staff from a general manager who would rather make sure that his entire organization doesn't have what it needs to succeed because of his ego. You're asking that quarterback to overcome all of that. Man, Dunder Mifflin had Jim and Pam, but it wasn't enough to overcome Michael Scott every single day. Get real. It's not going to work. And I really hope that what the Zim is – go ahead.
Quickly, can I address this? I saw in the chat here. Sorry,
yeah.
I got Doc talk here in a few. I had this conversation with some people on Instagram of all places, but Honey Bear said Troy wasn't scared to say shit. Go listen to Troy. Promise you. Go listen to Troy talk about this, because a lot of people, Toxic, you probably see this, right? They'll repost that video of Troy snapping on the sidelines, cussing everybody out, and venting to like a trainer or somebody about where the hell are the coaches at. The reason why Troy is doing that is because they lost all control at that point in time. When I say they, I mean Switzer at that point in time, right? And then they went on to have a bad season. This wasn't done during the Super Bowl years. Troy didn't have to do that. Troy came out and said, that never was my responsibility. I never had to do it. You know why? Because Jimmy was doing it. So when Jimmy got on
Exactly.
your ass, when Jimmy reined you in, when Jimmy, showed his power, it was Troy would come over and say, "Come here, man. Look, come here. This is why he's doing it. Okay, just listen to him. I got you. I make sure you're all right. But this is for good." So there was the good cop, bad cop. Troy never had to play bad cop. Not during the Super Bowl years. He's come out and said it. So when I see people say, "Well, look," when they post that video, "Well, look what Troy's doing. Look at Troy." Talk about the season. It was a terrible season. That didn't work. Your quarterback having to police everybody and be the rah, shut up and get, every time did not work. So I urge you guys to stop using that as an example for whatever quarterback, because it did the same thing with Tony. Whatever quarterback comes through here, you really don't want your quarterback to have to do that all the time. If he's doing that all the time, you have an organizational structural issue.
I agree. You are literally putting too much on your plate. Your quarterback, I don't hear Patrick Mahomes talk about how he has to make sure the practices are going well and making sure that he has to push his general manager to make sure they go get stuff. I don't hear that kind of stuff because they don't want him to do that.
You got your players begging. You got some of your top players begging to get help. And we talked about this before. This is going to be interesting because Micah's very vocal. There's no filter. And Micah has been vocal really since his rookie year. He's come out the very next year and said, "Hey, we need to get this player." It's like a top guy, Deron Payne or somebody. "We need to do this. We need to do X, Y, Z." And Jerry just like, yeah. Stephen like, yeah. But he's very vocal about that. CeeDee Lamb ain't, Diggs ain't, Dak ain't. Like they're not going to rock the boat in that way. But Micah built differently. He's going to talk about wanting and needing these guys. Now, will it ultimately matter? No. But you're right. It shouldn't take your players to have to speak up.
I agree.
About bringing in that type of talent, because every other organization is, or most of the successful ones, or the ones that have been to championships or winning them, are doing these things. It shouldn't take one of your top guys to have to keep to come out every offseason asking to get some dudes.
I agree. And to even take it a step further, whenever you see these types of things happen, and this can be in everyday life too, you're going to see tertiary effects of this. People say all the time, Mike McCarthy's teams are undisciplined. You can't be a disciplined team if the person who's trying to be and set the tone of discipline is getting walked all over by the head coach publicly. It's just, it doesn't work like that, because they see there's no repercussions that if I'm undisciplined, I'm still going to play. I'm still going to get paid. Hey, I can even skip team meetings and go talk to Mr. Jones myself, and I'll get in the lineup. But you want everyone else to be disciplined?
That was
Can't have it. Won't have it.
Damning to me, man. And again, it's not really about, for me personally, about Zeke. It says more to me about Jerry and them.
Yes.
Because, all right, look, bro, it's not working out. You got your backup running back now, throwing fits about not getting the rock, which rightfully so, right? He was told he was going to get here. He wanted the ball, so he's going to complain about it. Now he's not showing up or late to meetings, and there's just some things off field he's doing that probably, or he's doing because of how the season is going for him. I think that was a perfect time to rip the Band-Aid off and say, wait, this isn't working out like we thought. Out of respect for you, go and try to do your thing. Out of respect to our coach, who clearly doesn't want you here, you can now do what you need to do, coach, and let's just move forward. But because of that ego that you talk about with Jerry, he wasn't trying to relinquish that. He wanted to try to keep it going. And I don't know, man. That is not a way, in my opinion, to operate in an organization from a leadership standpoint.
Not. And the last thing I'll say, because I don't want to take up other callers' time, is this. I'm from an extreme example of leadership, and I've seen firsthand when piss-poor leadership is executed and toxic culture is created. I've seen people get killed because of it. Leadership is such an intangible aspect that if you don't have it, and you don't have it that's good, you can throw every dollar at a problem. It will never be fixed. Go look at Enron. Go look at Webcom. Go look at Sam Bankman-Fried. When you have that mindset that I can do no wrong and I'm going to do whatever I want, and to hell with everyone else because I'm going to get mine, it will never work. All you will get is what you've been getting. Shit sandwiches every single year. But other than that, Sky, hey, congratulations again. I cannot wait for this year to see Skywalker Unleashed. Make some damn hoodies, man, because I was getting my credit card ready to go when I saw that new logo.
I like it.
Man,
yeah, I like it.
If I could just get a hat or something. But anyway,
I'll
Happy New Year, Sky, to you and your family.
Appreciate you, big dog. That's toxic time for our first toxic take of the year. I gotta disagree with that, Willie T. He said Micah's just trying to get in like Romo did with Jerry and go on vacation with the Joneses. I don't think you very much know Micah personally. He tried to go on vacations with the Joneses. It would not. He got his own damn family. You know what I mean? He ain't trying to do all that. I think what you're probably pertaining to is when Micah was on his way or he was in Vegas, Jerry pulled up to him and said, hey, you want to come to the game? And he said, yeah, but I'm telling you right now, Micah he doesn't have a filter. He's going to either A, call out things about how the front office is moving. He's already done that. And I don't think that's something that Jerry Jones and them is going to be all loving about. Now, they understand he's all-world talent, so they're going to play him. But saying that he wants to snug up with Jerry, like Tony, I don't agree with that at all because he's not a quarterback, number one. He's a defensive player. We've seen DeMarcus Ware, who was way more liked personality-wise in the organization, way more, get tossed to the side when they thought he was done. It took Tony Romo bat giving out 17 times and a Dak Prescott for them to be like, all right. Because if Dak was just Kellen Moore, Tony would have been right back here knowing that we needed to have a replacement plan for him because of that snugness with the Jerry Joneses of the world. But no, I don't really see that at all. Yes, Jay. Will the new show have a similar format to this one? Same time, etc. It will have a very similar format. There will be more videos from me for those that have been here before I even came here A to Z. I did certain video formats. I like storytelling type videos and things like that. There will be more of that, and other things. We'll elevate for sure. I'll buy into it. Oh, y'all buy into it? No. Micah says a lot of crazy things, no doubt about it. I think you have a personal disdain for the man, so it really rubs you the wrong way. But that's because you're looking at it through a negative lens with Micah Parsons. I know him personally, so you can say it's biased. That's fine. But if he was a bad dude, then I wouldn't be sticking up for him when people like you come out and try to sully his character and who he is. He's not. I said it before. There's people like you and many others that take him having a podcast and him being very vocal to the locker room when the media comes in as if he's out here shooting up people, beating up women. You know what I'm saying? As if he's out here as this bad guy and you portray it in that way. It's not the case. He's a God-fearing family man, has done a lot in the community, a lot for people in the locker room, for people around him. This is a good dude. He just doesn't have a filter. He does say some dumb things sometimes, and he'll tell you that. But I think y'all take that and y'all put him in this box as if he did something that Tyreek Hill may have did or something that Sam Williams may have did. If you drop somebody down here from Mars and took the things that people like you say, no context, just people read them, be like, damn, this dude is a horrible guy. This guy must suck. And that's not the case. But that's how y'all do it. Hey, look, you can yawn all you want, Willie T. That's your opinion, right? You can have that opinion. You don't like the guy, and a lot of people are that way. There's people like you that are like that with Dak. It doesn't really matter, right? Like, get him off my team. He need to shut up. I've seen you say that many of times. That's fine, but you're acting as if this guy is some terrible person, or if he's not playing well on the field either, because he has a podcast and because he's vocal. I remember one point in time there was fans, and I don't know if you're one of them, that want players to speak up and not be PC. And then when you get one, it's shut up. So there's no making guys, or everyone, I should say. That's something I've learned too. You're not going to make everybody happy. You're just not. And a lot of people in Dallas, at least long-term veterans, have tried to find that middle ground of, hey, man, I'm just going. Because you got people like you who are just going to be vocal regardless. They speak up or not. All right? Yeah, Dre said Mike is a football junkie. It's obvious he loves the game. Yeah, but some people don't care. Some people do not care. It's shut up and dribble. I'm telling you, I don't know if there's anybody that puts in more work or wants it more. You would think you champion that type. He's the one guy, y'all, that's telling the front office, hey, wake the hell up. Shut up and dribble. Go get me better do. Shut up and dribble. We need a Deron Payne. Shut up and dribble. All right. Yeah, Vince, podcasting it's just normal as hell. But you got a lot of boomers who they don't like this. And they gotta get used to it. It is what it is, man. All right, one last one before I gotta get out of here and talk to Doc. VIP from New York. What's up, VIP?
Sky.
What's going on, bro?
Sky, what up, baby? I just called to say Happy New Year, my guy.
Happy New Year, VIP.
Yeah. Yo, I'm outside, really. I'm outside. So I'm going to be brief. I'm doing some outside work. I do carpentry work, too. But anyway, I was worried, man. I had to send the bros out for you, B. I'm like, yo, where my bro at, man? Yo, I'm hitting up. I'm like, it was like 48 hours. I started hitting the homies up, man. Yo, go check on my guy, man.
It's the holidays, so schedule's a little weird. So I use that time to prepare the new channel and whatnot. You know what I mean? So that's all that is.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm riding with you with this Unleashed, man. Yeah, you're going to have VIP Unleashed out here, man. I need the hoodie. I need some of the paraphernalia. I mean, I'm outside for you, B.
I appreciate it, but I do like the new logo. So Toxic might be on to something. I might have to get a little hoodie or something like that for y'all.
Yeah. I'm outside, but I want to say this one before I move on, that we know that our GM/owner is incompetent.
Sure.
And if that's something that, and I think that got missed when Troy was talking back in the day. Troy had to win in spite of. All right, I know they don't talk about, but Troy had to win in spite of coaching, in spite of an incompetent owner. But see, Jerry back then, at least Jerry was a little bit more hungry. Where he's like, all right, at least I'm going to get Dion. At least, so he was spending back then. I think, like you said, his son does influence him to say, nah, Dad, let's get under the budget, even though we know this TV revenue. The next time they set this bar for the cap is going to be so bananas that they pinching pennies, but y'all getting billions, B. So I hate that shut up and dribble mentality that makes I'm not even going to go to that slave mentality, because that makes it what people, some people in this chat, and I watch it, I peep some of y'all got that whole shut up and dribble mentality. And B, if you ever play football, these are human beings you're talking about.
It's one thing if he was going out there and was Taco Charlton. Like that's not. It's one thing if he was in Cabo and coming back out of shape and fat and like that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, does he have, again, that comes with maturity. We're talking about grown, probably 40-something-year-old men telling at one point 23, 24-year-old shut up. Like he's trying to figure that out. He even talked about the whole leadership thing. I think maybe now he's starting to get a little bit better at it, but he said, hey man, I've never been put in a situation where I had to be a leader. So I'm learning this on the spot. I'm talking to my mentors, et cetera, et cetera. Instead of saying shut up and dribble, you should be like, that's the approach. I applaud you for that approach. Now let's work on the other aspects, but we got a lot of shut up and dribble, mentality in our fan base. Cause in my opinion, it's frustration. It's frustration with the franchise, not necessarily the player. It's just easy to put that on, specific players. Easy.
And he's a product of the leadership, though. So, I mean, like you said, you even said it like, damn, he's got to lead. He's got to not only be the best player on the field.
He got to lead at 23, at 24. That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy that people are even jump on that and even try to ride that. Like, come on, man. Just moving this point forward, I'm so happy whatever's popping off for you, Unleashed. I know I got to pull up on you one day, man. So you got to open that VIP invitation, whatever you're doing with this Unleashed. I'm not going to hurt nobody, Sky. I'm outside. I'm good.
No, VIP. Last time we talked, VIP is ready. Oh, boy. I got to put on the vest when VIP comes through.
I'm outside for the smoke. We're talking about the kids, Sky, like that's why I had to put that Slurpee in line.
I hear you.
I mean, like we don't do that. Like we could clown up here, clown. You could clown me all you want, but when you come to my kids, this is my life. This is my legacy. This is what I live for. So we're not doing that. We can do anything else other than that.
Well, I hope you were able to bring in the New Year's, the holidays with the family, man. And it was safe. And it was safe, bro. So appreciate you, big dog. Yeah, make sure if you ain't go over there yet, make sure you head on over and sub up, brother.
Oh, I'm about to sub up. I was worried, B. I'm like, yeah, what my guy at? So when I see pop up today,
we still
I'm
here.
on it.
We still here. Appreciate you, big
I'm
dog.
on it. All right, my guy.
Salute. For those still unaware of what's happening, we are starting our new journey, or just carrying over the momentum. Let me say that. Carrying over the momentum over to Skywalker Steel Unleashed channel, where we will level up another notch. So things may look a little different Monday and moving forward, but we're still going to give you the same feel. But again, I'm always about trying to level up and do better and be better for the nation. So we got like 358 up in here. I know not everybody is able to do so at this moment because they may be on their phone, or I'm sorry, maybe driving, can't get on our phone, maybe at work, can't get over to the other tab. But when you get that chance, hit that sub button on the new channel. We'll be, again, refreshing throughout the week. So tomorrow we'll be talking about it. The next week we'll be live streaming on both channels. Just a live streaming. And you probably will see me elsewhere as well, working with a couple folk. So there's some exciting things lined up aside from the YouTube channel. And like I said, once those I's are dotted and T's are crossed, that will be shared with you guys, man. All right. Did I ever check out Stephen A's contract? No, I didn't check it out. My bad. I didn't check it out. Screwed on a new deal, Willie T. I hope there's not a holdout situation, man. I hope not. Hey, Law Nation on the way out said I just subbed. I'm number 173. Man, I just was with Law. There could be some things there too, y'all. Keep out, man. What an inspiration. I always bring up when I got into this thing. If you guys really knew how I got into it, the very first time I did some YouTube work with Law, I bombed. Absolutely bombed. Law had to hit up big, like, hey, this the dude you talking about? And but Law, he helped me out with a lot of things, gave me a lot of knowledge on stuff, and I was able to reciprocate that and help him out with certain things as well. And it's just been up from here, man. I call him the Godfather or the Podfather of this thing. We almost at 200. Can we get to 200 before I gotta go? And I gotta go. But we almost at 2. Let's get to that 200 right quick. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you. Stone Cold G. I can't say certain things. Just things are in the works. Things are in the works, and we will see where it will lead. But I'm excited though, man. I'm excited to be doing this. Kind of, I don't want to say I wasn't independent, right? With A to Z, obviously I was able to do what I needed to do here, but there's a little bit different when it's all you, and that fire is burning, man. That creative fire is burning. If y'all knew the hours I'm already putting in before I even debuted the damn channel, you know what I'm saying? I'm excited for this, and can't wait to get y'all up over there. And let me say this, because me and Willie T, I enjoy the debating and back and forth. So I don't want people to be shunned by the fact that we have these debates. So come on over to the new channel. We'll carry that over as well. We'll carry that over as well. We almost there. Force. I don't want to go until we hit the 2. I got a couple of minutes. Let's get to 2. I like that, Toxic. I like that. Appreciate the Shaq. Appreciate those who have sub. I am overwhelmed by the support you guys are showing in the just 1 hour of announcing this thing. Once you get over there, you'll see we're also going to have some of the content on the IG channel, not my personal IG channel. I'm with another IG channel. So we hit it, baby. Let's go. Next up, let's see if we can get 5 by like Monday. Might be Monday be nice to hit 5 by Monday, but if we can, let's try to hit 5 by sometime next week. But we already at 2. If you're running this back, please head on over, sub up. I'll be back tomorrow. Got a couple thoughts on the game. It's not about breaking down the opponent. There's a handful of players that this could be their last opportunity to either A, show the Cowboys something, or B, show us something. They might be around, but if they don't show something on Sunday, y'all know as fans, we're going to be like, hey, that's the lasting impression we got, man. That's the lasting impression we got. We don't want that. Willie T said, y'all finna turn on Mike. They already turned, Willie T, but yeah, it's going to get even crazy if that happens. D Shift, man, that'd be amazing if I can get the 1K by Monday, but let's do it, man. Let's do it. Appreciate you, Rolo. All right, got to get out of here. Got to talk to Doc here in a second, and I'll have that up probably later today. With that said, man, I'm going to go ahead and press this button.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
That'd be amazing. Hey, shouts out to Texas. I know there are a lot of Texas fans down here in the DFW. What a game. And shouts out to Scatterbo. If we draft him, I'm gonna have fun with his last name, but I would love to have him on our team. Oh, draft coverage over there is gonna be crazy. So make sure y'all tune in, sub up, and all that good stuff. We out of here. Love y'all. Peace.